Hey everyone, this is the big Lego Daily Bugle. It's so big, in fact, that it doesn't quite fit within my filming space here. It goes about 5 inches vertically beyond what you can see. Therefore, I'm going to take this out of this room to show you the overview of the whole thing, then bring it back to look at the details of each individual floor. As you may know by now, I am personally not a Marvel superfan, so in this video I'm going to focus on looking at this set as a Lego set and giving you my thoughts about it as a Lego set, as opposed to spending hours researching all the individual Easter eggs and individual movie scenes and quotes and comic issues and cells, just to be able to impress the Marvel scholars out there watching this who already know all that stuff. That's just a waste of your time and mine. The build of this 32-inch tall or 82-centimeter building, including the very tall antenna at the top, was pretty straightforward. It uses a lot of just traditional studs-on-top construction, which I thought was kind of a nice change from the norm these days. It allows you to relatively quickly build up a lot of bulk and have a lot of volume of building without getting too bogged down in really tiny details, some of which you might not be able to appreciate after the assembly is complete. Each floor does have nice details inside, but they're not overly dense. This whole thing is built on a standard 32 by 32 stud base plate, but does not use the full depth or width of it. You can rebuild the window section right here that's all broken out to make it all nice and clean as if it wasn't broken in the first place. And you can also remove each floor individually by just popping it straight up easily. The ground floor has a pretty generous sidewalk that is mostly tiled over. Only a few studs are available on it. This is a nicely tiled in entrance area. It's called a forecourt. I learned that during the live build over on Twitch, thanks to chat. This is just a little fire extinguisher here, a couple of potted plants. The sign is done all with stickers, and most of the decorations in this set are stickers, in fact, but there are quite a number of prints as well, which I will point out along the way. Off to the side, well, let's just get this out of the way. First of all, Sandman is obviously just, emerging through the concrete or through the asphalt over here. It's just a separate, standalone little assembly that holds on to the main part of the minifigure as well. It has some nice dynamism and really just shows the sand punching through, and that's nice. And we'll take a closer look at the figure just by itself, but that does come off, and then you just have this hollow stud over here on the top that is used to connect that. And then there's one other stud over here with a jumper to connect one other figure on this side, and otherwise it's all smooth. So we'll get back to that. Actually, it's a continuing trend throughout this build that it's difficult to find places to attach minifigs. Got the newsstand over here, and this has one of the first prints. It's this 2x2 tile, which is an exclusive pad print. They give you an entire handful of different prints for different newspapers that we'll see as we go along, but it's really good quality stuff and nice to see. Inside the newsstand in the back on the right there, that 2x2 is another print, and then on the left are stickers. The back of the newsstand has a small AC unit on it. That's nice for whoever is working there. And you see a couple of Technic pinholes here. These are aligned to work with the standard Lego modular buildings, so you can easily connect this to an existing street. I had heard that these were not compatible with their spacing. That's partly true, partly untrue. More on that in a minute. Moving around to the back, got a couple of small, simple builds for some garbage cans. Let's have some garbage inside. Got another AC unit up here. There's a bird on it. It's supposed to represent a pigeon. I think we'll find one more of those as we continue around. Around the back here, this is not fully tiled off, and I like that because it represents an area that's not so well maintained, and I think it looks appropriate, and it's also much easier to attach minifigures back here than it is on the fully tiled off spaces. You got an entrance to just the lower level there, which is just a standard door. Web piece is connected up here. You can actually open that up and get access to a backpack piece, just a standard backpack piece that's being hidden away for Spidey there. And around the other side, you can see the New York rat back there. This is a sticker for the manhole cover, and then these are just some other random things placed around the back, basically to hide a couple more of these Technic pinhole bricks or Technic bricks to connect once again to a modular building. However, these two are spaced too close together, so these do not have the same spacing. This is built correctly. Multiple people have encountered this and called it out previously. These are not spaced correctly to attach to a modular building. You need to modify the base just ever so slightly to widen that spacing out by one single brick to make it work. Now, this side of the building is designed to be punched out, so you can break all that out to get a little bit of viewing access to the interior. Unfortunately, you can't really get your fingers in there to use that space to place minifigures like this. And, well, you've got the whole roof overhead, so it doesn't let any light in, and thus you can't really see. Like I said earlier, though, it's very easy to remove the rest of the floors one at a time, and once you start doing that, then you can see inside, and you can also get access from the top a little bit. Not as easily on this lower level, but you'll see it better on other floors. This vending machine, I have to say, is excellent. Doesn't actually work, but it certainly looks great, and it has a special little sticker on the side as well. Rotating around and shifting up above so you can see the interior better, there are a couple more of those prints. Now those are identical because they're intended to represent the exact same issue that is presently on stands. And then there's the waiting area here. You notice that the entire floor here is tiled, so good luck getting minifigures to stay. That's really unfortunate. It would have been nice to get at least a few studded spots along the way. But this is a fairly nice and fairly plush deluxe looking waiting area. You know, it's much nicer than it needs to be. That's the security guard's desk there. Also has access just to the area behind there, as well as to an elevator system, which is a little bit difficult to see, but I can move this sign out of the way. And there you can see that. It is not real. It doesn't actually work. There's no space to put minifigures in there, but it is consistent throughout from floor to floor to make it look like there is a working elevator system in this place. That's just a giant TV up above. And behind there, you can see more of those prints. So more of the 2x2s, the 2x2 pad prints that are unique. Now you see some individual ones that are different, that represent, you know, historic previous covers. And yeah, it's a nice little area, but a little bit on the plain side, and it's not too hard to get your hands in there to pose minifigures, at least if they're sitting, but if they're standing, that's another story. The second floor has this row of live digital billboards and screens around it, which helps to break up the monotony of rows and rows of windows and these basic columns here that are done with just basically track pieces, old train track pieces, just individual ones, which I personally actually like. And I like how this is just a building. You know, it doesn't try to get too fancy, but these do use large stickers, which a lot of people are not going to like. You can see that at the second level, you still have the same size, the same overall size, same overall shape for the building as you did on the first floor. And around the back, you start to get a lot more windows. Over here, I think I'll start to talk about the fire escape setup, which here allows you to get down, you know, basically down to the ground. You know, you have your normal access, so that folds up, and then otherwise you're just going to be repeating this pattern of having two sets of the ladders going all the way up. You can't really go through there, but figures can be posed attached to these. A lot of people don't like the fact that these are so bright with the red color, but it is fairly appropriate to at least one of the depictions of this building in universe, and again adds something different from just the continuous gray and clear. Now, to get access to the interior here, this is where things get much better. You just do that. That's it. All this just comes off very, very easily. It's only attached with a couple of studs. One stud over here, one stud over here. Everything just folds into place and stays all nice and neat. This is the main newsroom with 4 desks with seats around a central column. Once again, all of these 2x2 white tiles are prints, and you'll see a number of different ones that have specific references in universe that all make sense. So you've got those going around the main column there, the main post, and then stickers are used for the screens up above, as well as the ones that are used on people's desks there. The keyboards are a new print for 2021 is when they started that. Once again, you can see that the floor has no studs, so attaching figures, just walking around is not really going to happen. You know, you can set them there, but it's very easy to get them to fall off, unfortunately. Over here is a bit of a break room area with a box of donuts that's been opened up, and once again, up on the wall, you get even more different, unique prints. It's a lot of prints, and there you can see the elevator, how the elevator shaft appears to be the same at every level, including the nice little prints up above, which are nice to see. But again, there's nothing you can do there. It's completely solid. Next to that is a pretty nice small build for a water cooler. There you can see another one of the prints, which we've seen down below as well. And this is a unique print. The next level up features the Green Goblin blasting his way out of one of the office spaces there. We'll take a look at the interior in just a second. Green Goblin is on a sand green colored small glider in this case, and everything here is posed nicely and attached well enough. It's not the most durable of builds, but it doesn't have to be. The good thing here is that everything is built per instructions. It's not difficult to do. You know, there's no gymnastics required to get these things to pose up, because they're just attached with Mixel's ball joints, these individual little sub-assemblies here, and they look very dynamic to me. And again, the pieces needed to fix the window are all included right here. They don't give you instructions for putting them back, but it's pretty easy to just follow the rest of the build. You know, it's somewhat repetitive with that. Another important thing with this level is that this is where the building becomes less deep. So you can see the balcony right here, that's from the lower level. And then here you have just essentially less building per floor for the last 2 floors, which I think is fine, but it's something to keep in mind. You know, you don't want to trick yourself into feeling like you're getting more than you actually are, because they did narrow it up, which is also realistic enough. I mean, I don't personally have a problem with it. All right, let me take the front off. Once again, this is super simple. You just angle it forward and everything just comes off on its own to reveal the meme room, the Spider-Man office with the single just phone there on an empty desk. So they dedicated quite a bit of space just to that. I don't mind it one bit. Don't mind it one single bit. And, you know, they intend for you to put just Peter Parker there. Of course, you can put Spider-Man, you know, fully dressed up. And over on the side, I'm actually surprised that they didn't use some of their printed Post-it note pieces there. Instead of going with the regular yellow color, they went with just light yellow rather, or cool yellow, and just not printed. And then this is like a storage room / utility room, which also has a very nice copy machine. Opens up this way, has a little bit of a glass deck to it. There's no additional detail inside of it, but it's a very nice looking thing. And you just have some boxes over here. One more of the prints back there in the back. One of the exclusive prints, and then a pizza box up on top. Peter Parker's camera, some cabinets, and then of course you have to have a spider, an actual spider, a biological spider in here somewhere with a spider web up above, and once again continuing the fake elevator shaft area. The final enclosed level is very plain around the front, so they do something different around the side and around the back. This one has a spider buggy attached to it, and that is canonically correct. If you're not familiar with the spider buggy, you think that Spider-Man should never have a vehicle or anything, well, just follow the history of Spider-Man, and I'll show you this little Manx-inspired buggy a little bit later on. But around the back, you have more detail with this time a non-digital, just regular billboard with a couple of lights above. Has a couple of spots where you can attach figures, which is good for action posing. Another AC unit over here with another representation of a pigeon or a dove or a bird in a nest this time around. But that just adds a little bit more to the design of this from different angles. So all in all, the set does look good and interesting from different angles. It does not have one specific camera friendly angle and then a bunch of others that are either boring to look at or really, really lacking or ugly to look at. And the fire escape doesn't essentially go all the way up to the top. There's a little bit of a jump to get from the roof, but overall that's pretty straightforward and basically just follows a theme and a pattern all the way. And then finally, I can open this up to get you access to the interior here. This side is the office space of Big Boss Man J. Jonah Jameson himself, and he's got some relatively deluxe furniture builds going on there and quite a stack of to-dos and things to review over here. Let me move this out of the way first so that you can see the little bit of detail behind, including some of his special memorabilia. There's what the desk looks like from the other side. So once again, a print for the 2x2 tile and then a sticker for the computer screen. This is the one spot out of the entire office building, the one spot where they actually give you an interior stud for attaching a figure so that somebody, maybe could be coming into the office and then speaking to Jameson, such as, for instance, Peter Parker trying to sell some of his photos, getting fired or getting rehired. The remaining space is top floor lobby area and a desk for Jameson's secretary. And there you can see the sticker that they've got on her computer screen. And there's also a screen inside showing some live feed. To top everything off, here's the roof level with the tile-built sign. It has pretty consistent typography, pretty consistent designs of individual letters, and the kerning, I think, is all good. I think this is the very last thing that you build as well. And then the bugle is built with red color, just a regular red colored lightsaber hilt there, red colored fez piece, and also a red colored bucket handle piece. So some pretty fancy stuff there as far as recolors are concerned. This is just a very large water tower, one of the larger water tower builds that LEGO has officially done. It's nice. It goes together interestingly, differently than expected. Has a couple of stickers on there, including one that represents Miles Morales was here, and then Green Goblin was here as well. And then you just have the final stalk for the antenna, and that goes up quite far and adds a lot to the technical size of this, the height that they can quote on the outside of the box and marketing materials and everything. But it's a lot. It's a lot of height, so you don't count that entirely. And then they also have a spot to hold on to a figure, and that can be posed with a little bit of distance there. So we'll take a look at the figures individually, but this one has all the fire elements attached. This 6-stud wide taxi cab is based on a classic American checkered brand cab, which was the standard for New York taxis for many, 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 many years. So it's very appropriate here. It's just taken from one of many, many eras that are referenced in this set. So if it doesn't make sense to have something like this on the street while we're also looking at practically holographic looking computer screens, well, just don't worry about it too much. We've got stuff from all throughout the history of Spider-Man here. Any decorations on this are done with stickers, and this does hold a total of just 2 figures. So 1 driver and 1 passenger. The entire roof section comes up, and you can see it's very simple on the inside. The nicest thing with this is, I think, just the little exhaust on the side with a flintlock pistol that's attached from the underside. This canonically appropriate spider buggy comes straight from the comics and is inspired by the design of a classic Volkswagen Beetle conversion called Manx. Actually, there were a couple of manufacturers that did similar looking ones, but this is extra caricatured. It's got a lot of forward rake, and the rear tires are much larger than the front, which is appropriate to the depiction in the comics. This is pretty simple, but for the small number of pieces that were dedicated to this, I think it looks really good, and you can put just a single figure in the driver's compartment and perhaps another one on the back if you want to. Before I start going through the minifigures up close individually, I want to get through the remaining ones that have a bunch of stuff attached that I will need to remove in order to show you everything up close. This is the best set of Doc Ock arms LEGO has ever done by far. It's not even close. It's a very simple, actually somewhat monotonous build to put these arms together, but once they are together, they are super, super posable. I'm happy to report that the individual sections do not fall apart easily. They do not pull apart easily, so you can really change all the angles at every single spot along the way, in addition to angling the whole things in and out. That's just exceptionally well done, and all of that is attached with just a single backpack style of piece, so you can take all of it off at once. And similar parts are used for Carnage over here, just to get some additional, spikes of symbiote biomass that are coming off in different ways, including some different types of barbs and different sizes. And they've done the exact same thing over here. And you can swap those out, turn them around, rotate them and stuff, but doesn't do all that much. Just looks kind of cool. All right, figures. I'm going to do these 3 at a time and try not to spend too much time on them, and who knows, maybe this video will be less than an hour long. Spider-Man on the left once again gets the dark brownish colored arms that are supposed to be bright red. Shame on LEGO for that. At least they gave him the dual molded legs here, but they at the very least need to stop advertising in their marketing materials and pictures on the box and official renders and everything that these arms have a nice bright red color. That's just essentially false advertising. They should fix the quality problem, and if they're not going to fix it, at least show us before we purchase the thing what it's actually going to look like. In the middle, Peter Parker there could use a little bit more opacity for the white of his undershirt, but it's not too bad. I think that print overall looks pretty good. Spider-Ham looks absolutely awesome. I love that character, and the figure is done pretty well. Looking at these around the backs, their prints back here are very good also, and there is an alternate face for Peter. Here on the left is Firestar, and I think that's the first time that LEGO has done this character. Unfortunately, there's no Iceman to go with her in this set. I think that whole figure is done really, really well. The colors are nice and bright. The production work is done well. And then in the middle is Ghost Spider, colloquially colloquially known as Spider-Gwen once. We've gotten that figure before, and on the right is Miles Morales. We've also gotten that figure before, but that one's especially well done. I love the level of detail. I also have one of the web blast assemblies there. There's also an additional one of those identical that's included that can be used with, for example, Ghost Spider there in the middle. I'm looking at these around the back. Good prints for the torsos all around. Nice wide hairpiece here. And on the backs of the faces, you just get an alternate for Firestar. And, well, I guess that works for Miles Morales if you just want to use them hood down. Now, here's a lineup. 3 firsts for LEGO with Daredevil on the left, Punisher in the middle, and Blade on the right. These are fantastic inclusions. Some of the most exciting things about this entire set to me, even as someone who's not a Marvel superfan and as someone who's not a minifig collector in particular, I think that the Daredevil figure there on the left is fantastic. Done so well, has such great detail for the torso, and the head print is done very well, including, for a change, some properly opaque, light-colored skin tone there. So all that is done well. The Punisher is based off the very first appearance of the Punisher in comic form. So if he doesn't look familiar to you, look farther back in history. And then Blade over there has a little bit of metallic printing. It's a little bit too subtle, but I kind of get it. I mean, it's supposed to be like more black on black than anything, but still, I wish that there was a little bit more to that. Maybe the trench coat could have been continued down into the hips and the legs. I think this one definitely could have benefited from more printing there, but I shouldn't complain too much because it's an official LEGO Blade figure. Look at these prints around the back. Again, really good torso print over here. Get an alternate face for this guy with a little bit more beaten up, and the back print for Blade is relatively simple. Switching over to some villains, here on the far left is obviously Green Goblin, on the right is Mysterio, and in the middle is another new character, I believe, for LEGO. It's Black Cat. That one's done pretty well. Green Goblin is one of the few characters in this set to get something going on for the legs, so you actually got print there for the legs and the hip. Mysterio gets the newer style of fishbowl piece for the head that has some iridescence to it. So it's the trans light blue with the kind of opal, I guess they call it, opal iridescence, a little bit of glitter inside of it. There's the alternate face for this one, alternate face for this one as well. No face for this one, just going with the gray so that you don't see it through the translucent piece. And there's also some very nice alternate print, well, not alternate print, but back print for the torso there. And the hands for Mysterio are done in gold. Here are these guys again, just with the major stuff removed from their backs. Doc Ock on the left, Carnage in the middle, and Venom on the right. I don't think there's anything new in the way of prints between these, so if you follow LEGO minifigures and superhero minifigures in particular, you've seen all of these configurations before. They've just changed in this set how they get accessories added to them. So there's the alternate face for Doc Ock, and yeah, I think all these prints are done well enough. The opacity for Venom's white is actually decent. I think if he had some white pieces, some white plastic pieces, it would be more obvious that it's not as bright as it should be. And I think the eyes should be brighter colored, both for Venom and for Carnage, maybe Carnage especially. But overall, these are just kind of standard, not particularly bad, not particularly great. And then here's just the minifigure portion of Sandman. This is the same Sandman as the last one that we got with the angry clone face. I'm not particularly mad that they used that face for this character, but I think it doesn't work that well with the hair piece in particular. I'm not sure exactly which version of Sandman they were going for with this. Also, the tan print on the torso is still very much lacking in opacity and doesn't look good to me personally, but that's just my opinion, I suppose. And it's Angry Clone, so there's no alternate face. All right, here are some non-super figures. J. Jonah Jameson himself over on the left. In the middle is Betty Brant, and on the right is Ben Urich, if I have pronounced it correctly. I like figures like these because their parts can be used to represent just regular people. They don't have to represent specific characters. For someone like myself who's not a super superheroes fan, I really like that print so much. I think that's going to be very memorable, and that, of course, does very much attach that head to the superhero world. These left to right are Ron Barney, Aunt May, and Robbie Robertson. I think that's a reused print from Stranger Things, if I'm not mistaken. I like all these prints, actually. That one's my least favorite, but I think they're pretty well done. This face is especially well done, I think, with its level of detail. And once again, these are just figures that, to me, can be used for parts to make custom folks or used as is to represent just regular people around town. And I like that. But yeah, everything that's here I think looks good. It's a shame that we don't have an alternate print or a back print for this torso, just to give us consistency on the overall level of detail for the whole thing. Rounding things up, my bad, I should have shown Gwen Stacy here in regular form earlier on. This is Bernie, the cab driver, and this is Amber Grant, who I'm not even familiar with at all. Once again, these are, to me, pretty regular looking figures. I appreciate the medium nougat colored legs here, and the teal colored torso print, printed torso, and also the medium blue colored legs over here on the left. No alternate face for the middle one, of course, for obvious reasons. It would be too visible, but these two do get some, so that's good. Spare parts for this set are rather numerous, and there are some special things among them in terms of the recolors. I think I separated out all the extra prints over there, and you had just a few pieces left over from the Web Blast and Splat set. And then I had to zoom out to get the sticker sheet in here, and this is just one of two. So this is the white-backed sticker sheet. You can see obviously most of the volume of this, most of the area of this was taken up by the large screens, and then these are the smaller screens mostly from the newsroom, and then there's also this clear backed sticker sheet, so one of each. Big difference in size. The overall volume of stickers is immense, but the number of them did not feel oppressive to me personally for the size of the set. This costs $300 US for over 3,700 pieces. And I think that the value here is pretty respectable. It comes with 25 minifigures, and yeah, the minifigures could have used more detail in them and better quality in some cases, but just overall, the amount of stuff that you get here, I think, is about what I would expect by Lego standards. Yeah, it doesn't have too many tiny pieces in it. This is a very respectable sized thing overall. It has plenty of play possibilities, good display value to me personally, and just generally I'm pretty satisfied with it. So much so that I ordered a second one so that I will debadge at least one of them, if not both, to use in the Cyberpunk district underneath my Lego City over on my Lego City channel. Hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any thoughts about the set in the comments down below, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.